And I would like to apologize to starting on time. We hope that you will be patient with us throughout, but they say good things are worth waiting for. And you would know that we would not keep you deliberately waiting, but definitely waiting for something that is worth your while. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome the program director of today's OR Tambo Centenary Talks that are held here at Freedom Park. And before I do that, I would just want you to give yourself a warm hand of applause for your patience. Thank you. Thank you ever so much. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce to you the Advocate Sonwabile Mangcwatshwa, the CEO of the National Heritage Council of South Africa, the organization that has also led the hosting of this activity.
We call them talks because we don't envisage a one-way stream or a sermon, but instead us talking about this giant, Oliver Reginald Tambo, the values that shaped his life, everything that he did as one of the towering figures, the founding icon of our democracy that we're enjoying today, who did not live actually to see the fruits of his work, Oliver Reginald Tambo. Now, the National Heritage Council, of course, part of the Interministerial Committee, as this year was declared the year to remember and celebrate Oliver Tambo. We set aside themes for the year, which is a rolling themes starting from January up until December. Of course, the main one being October, his birthday, in a place called Kantolo in Bizana, where Oliver Reginald Kezana Tambo was born.
I must declare from the outset that I accepted this invitation to speak at this august occasion with a bit of trepidation. To speak of the late Oliver Reginald Tambo is to speak of a towering intellectual with unparalleled leadership virtues. He remains the crucible from which we seek inspiration and a figure that we must always strive to emulate. It is indeed my immense honor and privilege to talk about this gallant leader in the year of OR Tambo, as declared by our President, President Zuma. Tambo, as we all know, would have turned 100 years old on the 27th of October this year had he continued to live. What is seldom mentioned is that this year also marks 50 years since Tambo assumed the reins of leadership in the ANC. He took over on the passing of yet another icon, Chief Albert Luthuli, in July 1967. Tambo selflessly dedicated his entire life to the liberation of the people of this country, regardless of color, creed, partisan, or political affiliation. He was that glue that held the various strands of the National Democratic Revolution together for almost 30 years. It was because of his erudite leadership that he brought back the ANC intact after decades of exile. We therefore celebrate Tambo's memory today because he remains one of the most outstanding leaders that this country has ever produced.
He eventually left the country and went in exile in 1966. In exile during the 80s, befittingly so, Albie worked very closely with the person being celebrated today, Oliver Reginald Tambo, who was and is still known as the leader of the African National Congress. And in that role, he also helped to draft the organization's code of conduct and the statutes thereof. I'm pleased, ladies and gentlemen, that today we are being joined by a man who is going to speak about OR, and knowing that OR inspired Albie, motivated him, and nurtured him through the turbulent times in exile. So I think it is with no doubt that we're going to hear from somebody who has first-hand information of that part of the work that OR led, but having been central and being nurtured in that kind of a work. In closing, I just want to highlight that in the time that I've known Albie and worked with him, he's quite a humble, gentle soul. And I don't think he knows the word no, because he always gives of his time to anybody whenever he's being asked to help. Just as an example, he landed yesterday from a 2-day quick stint in Ukraine, where he had gone again because he was asked to do something. And early this morning, he left Cape Town to be here. I bet you he's got another task waiting for him in Cape Town. How he does that, I don't know. But we remained humble, Albie, that you are always willing to give of yourself, and we look forward to your talk.
No, I'm going to speak 20 minutes. I've been given a huge theme, land. It's such a central issue in this country. I'm not going to spend much time dealing with the injustice in relation to land. It's obvious. You go to any city, you walk down any street, you fly over, you see it. Our land as a country belongs to everybody in South Africa. But our land on the land is not equally accessible to everybody in South Africa. And it's massive. And it was created by the state, it was created by conquest, it was created by law, it was enforced by law. In the days when I was a young advocate at the bar in Cape Town, we would look at a transaction. Any sale of land was not valid unless the document, the deed of transfer, indicated the land was sold by a person of a particular race to a person of the same race. And 87% of the surface of South Africa by law was reserved for whites only, and it included all the developed cities, the industrial areas, the mining areas, and the rich farming areas. And I think to an audience like this, it's not necessary to make out a case for the need for radical redistribution of land. That's the starting off point. It's there, it was there. When the Constitutional Committee was set up by Oliver Tambo in Lusaka in 1988, I still had two arms then. He brought us together to start envisaging a new South Africa.
Comrade OR Tambo championed as the then president and commander-in-chief of the Armed Forces of Liberation incursions into the country through many means, including maritime. In our case, through the Navy. Chulo, known as TT, who is a friend, advisor, and mentor of SAMSA. Comrade Titlo was born in 1926, he turned 90 last year, at Khakana village in Polokwane, a son to a trade unionist. Like his father, he fought for justice through unions, and his courageous actions revealed the character of a man who believed in the cause of a just and equal society. He was among the first volunteer cadres of Umkhonto we Sizwe to leave the country for military training and trade unionism in the then Soviet Union and China. He left through Botswana and took the Freedom Ferry to across into Zambia. Further testimony to his astute organizational and leadership skills. He belonged to the Lutuli detachment. He was part of the advanced units that in 1966 attempted to infiltrate South Africa through the then Rhodesia and Botswana to clear the way for the Lutuli-Wanki battle. Comrade Chulo and his unit were arrested and sentenced in Botswana to 3 years and 9 months. He was released and deported back to Zambia after the latter applied pressure on the Botswana government. In closing, he was one of the commissars of MK and deputy commander, and the detachment trained as a naval force in the then USSR. At the Azerbaijani Republic naval base. In 1971, he attempted to enter South Africa through the Indian Ocean. The following year, his unit managed to infiltrate the country, but within 5 months, all members of his unit were captured and charged under the 1967 Terrorism Act in a trial that became known as the Great Pretoria Six. In the interest of time, may I request all of us to put our hands together and give this platform to Comrade Commissar T.T. Chulo.
Members of the ANC, veterans in this hall, also members of the MKMVA, if they are invited to come here. I would like also to extend acknowledgement to members of the parliament, members of the legislature, councillors of the municipalities and their members as well. I should also extend a great honor to Dr. A.B. Ngomo, who is here. I should like the audience to see him. I will also ask him to just to stand for a few seconds. He's here. I want to go a little bit further about him because he was among the first ambassadors who went sent outside the foreign countries to represent the new South African government, which came up in 1994 in April. I will also extend to those perhaps I have not, my eyes have not met them here. I hope they are also in here. I would like to greet everybody who is in here, all the audience, those who are from far and nearer. I think introductions about me is sufficient enough. The comrade whom we are going to talk about him here, I worked with him very closely, particularly outside the country of the operations. Outside the country, I lived with him. Just to share with you how I've lived with this man whom we are talking about. At one stage, we have appeared, that's him and I, we appeared before the tribunal, armed tribunal in the camp. We are in Lusaka, the Eastern Lusaka camp, where incident had happened. I was living with him in a tent in the camp.
Mama Thandi believes in the importance of sharing experience in order to transfer skills and learning. She's constantly learning and believes in the importance of education through various media. I'm told Mama, she's a storyteller. She believes that storytelling is also a key element of leadership, and she uses it to communicate her message. She's been invited on numerous speaking engagements and has also featured in many radio shows. She has many awards and accolades as well, and amongst others, she was awarded the Key of the City of Monrovia in 2012. Also, the city of Montgomery, Alabama, proclaimed her as ambassador. They actually proclaimed Ambassador Thandilu Jaberanko Day in 2012. She's also recognized for outstanding commitment to human rights, also at Alabama State University. She also received the GBC Health Inaugural Leadership Award in 2013. Mama has a strong negotiating, lobbying, administrative, and coordination skills. She's excellent at forming relations with leaders within government, business, and non-governmental sectors to ensure that she effects transformation and has the necessary impact and influence required in her position of leadership. Mama, now it's your turn.
Thank you very much. It is a great privilege to be here today to talk about OR, the ultimate father figure. There is a book which contains a wide range of tributes to and remembrances of the late ANC leader. He was our father and brought us up the way our parents would have done. I feature in this book, and the title of my own contribution is, thank you, The Ultimate Figurehead. I shall quote a few paragraphs from my write-up. Quote, "One thing I will always remember about Oliver Reginald Tambo, besides his great intellect and leadership skills, is the influence and effect he had on the lives of so many people. The mere mention of his name inspired and motivated thousands, including very young children. I remember that we had a group called Amasupatsela, the Young Lions. I see one of those children there. And one lady decided she was going to give her own pair of shoes, and they were high, of course, for her, but to make her happy. And she put on those shoes, and she was finding it difficult to walk. So she was moving sideways this way and that way. Anyway, the good thing about the Masupatselas is that they had this beautiful song about OR Tambo. Utambo, utambo sehlatin bafan, wenzani na uqeqesha amajoni. Utambo, utambo sehlatin bafan, wenzani na uqeqesha amajoni. Hi, 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 one step. Two-step bafana wenzani na uqeqesha amajoni. Okay, thank you. My first experience of working with OR was in 1961. When I got to Dar es Salaam, I did a lot of typing for him in the ANC office. It was an honor and privilege to serve under OR during that period. Getting to know him on a personal level only further increased my respect and admiration for him.
We are going to receive the last speaker. I'm just going to briefly introduce Dr. Isop Pahad has been involved in the struggle against racism and apartheid for more than 50 years. Currently, Dr. Pahad is the director of Vusizwe Media and editor of The Thinker, which is a Pan-African quarterly journal covering broad socio-economic, socio-political issues in South Africa and the African continent. Dr. Pahad has held numerous political offices as a member of the National Assembly from 1994 to 2008, parliamentary councillor to the then Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa from 94 to 96, a Deputy Minister in the office of the former Executive Deputy President Thabo Mbeki, 96 to 99. Dr. Pahad was appointed Minister in 1999 with specific responsibility for the Office for the Rights of Child, Office of the Status of Women, Office of the Status of Disabled People in the Presidency, as well as the National Youth Commission and the Government Communication and Information System.
Our beloved Madiba was an icon for all of us. Dr. Dadu was one of the greatest leaders produced by our revolutionary movements and alliance, single-handedly practically, with the assistance of people like my father and all of that. He took a beleaguered community, people of Indian origin, who were in rather conservative organizations, who didn't see the importance of an alliance with the African people, with the ANC. Dadu, more than anybody else, took these people. He, more than anybody else, also ensured that the party, the SACP, remained a relevant force. So if I might suggest to you people, one day you might organize something on Dr. Yusuf Dadu, because I'm afraid this great, great leader has been ignored in our history today. Both of them shared some common features that enabled them to lead our movements at the most difficult and critical times. At a time when many people despaired, neither of them were intellectuals in a narrow understanding of that term. Neither of them wanted to dazzle people with rhetoric and populist slogans and phrases. They were profound intellectuals in their deep understanding and analysis of what the struggle demanded, the strategy and tactics, the need for unity and cohesion, and the requirement for selfless leadership, commitment, and hard, punishing work and schedules. Both had a very enduring approach and understanding that you had to work with people that you do not always agree with. For example, they both understood, and when we were young, for example, we used to fight like mad, that why do you want to work with so-and-so, so-and-so will be a sellout. They always said, look, both of them, you work with everybody, and you take them as far as they will go. When they drop out of the struggle, you continue the journey. But you never reject anybody at a moment in time when they can make a contribution. Comrade Chairman, because Yusuf Dadu was chairman of the Southern Communist Party at that time, I should like to pay a special tribute to you today. It is 60 years since the SACP was formed. It is several decades since you have been involved in the front ranks of our struggle, inspiring everyone around you, inspiring younger generations, first among the volunteers in situations that threaten arrest, torture, imprisonment, never missing where there is struggle to be waged. You were awarded the title Isitulandwe by our nation, and that was at the Congress of the People, not as a formality, but in recognition of your services. This was more than 25 years ago. Your presence here and chairmanship of this particular meeting enables us to recall with great clarity the various revolutionaries with whom you associated in your period of service to our people and our country.